people come to me and ask me, how do you feel about creating the music you create when you compare it to what gets played on television, what gets played on radio? I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. I think what gets played on radio is what supports radio's, wallet. I think what gets played on television is what supports television's wallet. But I think when you get down to it, and I think what happened with the music industry and what's continuing to happen with the music industry is that it's imploding on itself. It's created this monster that it has no control over. It's created this imagery that is all of a 5-minute imagery. It's this week's hit record. It's the things I used to ask my daughter, who's the #1 rapper this week? It seems to change every week, and I think that there's a sadness in there. You have some artists that are coming through in this genre that are lasting longer, but it's only because the conscientious heads of state are choosing to hold a handful of people up higher for a longer period of time. But even when you have these people, and I'm not going to name names because I'm not a disgruntled artist who doesn't have, I don't have a hit according to the industry standards. I have a hit if one person likes my music, and that's the way I look at it. And there are a lot of artists out there that are reflecting this imagery and this mindset, and I think it's forcing the industry to change. There's a book out there called The Long Tail, and if you want to know what I'm talking about, you really need to look at getting this book. It's by a guy by the name of Chris Anderson, and thanks, Sam. The Long Tail. I'm not advertising this guy's book, but I read this book and I found everything I am about, everything I'm thinking, everything I am choosing to do. That book is reinforcing my feelings about people not being stupid, about people not being greedy, about people being more loving than they are not loving. It's not about everybody in the world is making a record that's degrading or leading towards some form of denigration of culture, class, or people. It's like the mindset of the Long Tail is that most people are going to pretty much buy what they want to buy. And if there's something out there, if you're doing music, if you're making music that's culturally correct, if you're making music that has a mindset that is pure and uplifting, it's only going to be a matter of time before it gets discovered. And what's my proof is? My proof is the internet. I mean, just go to MySpace. When I joined MySpace, there were 94 million people on there a day. That's a lot of people looking for something other than a top 5 record. And that's what this book is talking about, how the industry has given us 5 artists. The radio station's given us 5 artists. You have a handful of radio stations that are a lot of the black college radio stations, and you have stations that are owned by artists like KJLH, which is owned by Stevie Wonder, and you have some other stations like WGPR out of Detroit, and I mean, they are staying true to what we are about musically. I think the problem is that the truth is never going to be told when it comes to the dollar. The dollar is geared towards the lie and being supported by the lie, that if we tell you it's a hit, then it's a hit. And it doesn't matter that it's selling or it's not selling. And I mean, the proof is in the pudding. If these records are selling billions of records, then, my question is, okay, why are all the stores closing down? Wasn't anybody making any money from the result of these billions of sales? Well, the truth of the matter is they're not. And they don't know how to tell you as a buying person, they don't know how to tell me as an artist that I have a voice, that I can actually say something musically and I can get to you in my efforts to get to you. They don't know how to tell you that because it's some kind of sick, controlled atmosphere that is not promoting any sense of freedom or exploration or ambition. I thought maybe I was an outsider until I got on MySpace, and then I found out there are tons of people out there that have great voices and great music, and they'll never see the light of day if they don't take the chance and explore getting their music out to the public. I think the advent of what's going on online and books like The Long Tail are telling the truth, that a lot of people are buying this stuff. When you can put 3-4 million songs out there and people are listening to them, then it's telling radio you really don't have the answer, and it's telling major record companies you don't have the answer, because if you had the answer, you'd have all the artists. And the truth of the matter is, there are a lot of artists out there that'll never be discovered. So as an artist, I would encourage you to discover yourself. Get out there and do for yourself what you think someone else should be doing for you. Don't wait for the deal. I'm not saying this because I've walked away from a couple major record companies, but I am saying this because I walked away from a couple major record companies, and I'm still here. And the sad thing is a lot of the companies that pulled me as an artist are no longer in business. I think we're down to 3 majors, and soon to be down to 2 majors. And what is it to be with a major if a major is only going to promote and push, their top 5 artists? You're just going to be somebody who has the equivalent of what MySpace gives you right now. If you push yourself at MySpace, people are going to see you. If you push yourself with your own website, people are going to see you. Before MySpace, I had morningcrew.com. I still have morningcrew.com. People come there, they leave messages, they listen to the music, they see pictures, they interact, they see the videos, they see interviews. All of these things I chose to do for myself simply because I'm an entity in an industry that's crashing and burning. And it's crashing and burning while refusing all along that it's crashing and burning. And I think it needs to wake up. I think it needs to wake up and pay attention to the fact that at some point in time, you're all going to go by the way of, liquidation. And it's unfortunate, but you got more radio stations online than you have, offline right now. You have more people going to these underground stations simply because the same music you hear on MySpace of real artists trying to push themselves, they're being pushed on these underground stations, and they have broad, large audiences. They're just not controlled by power brokers. They're controlled by people who are actually art oriented and dig deep, more or less like the public broadcasting system. They dig deep to find things that are not commonplace. I think when you can turn the radio on and find the same artist simultaneously on 30 stations, it seems to become disinteresting to listen to radio. When you can turn a computer on and find, as in the generic television channels we're starting up, you're going to find things, artists on there talking about and doing things, and on basically the radio stations are generic radio stations. You're going to find music on there that's going to captivate you and make you know that there's a lot still going on out there on the underground. There's a lot going on in the underground, and I'm not just happy to be like a front runner in the underground as far as an independent record company. I'm happy to be a participant in it. I'm happy to help others who, I continue to help others who are trying to get their lives off the ground as independent record companies or as independent artists. But there's this thing that goes with that, and my attorney has always told me that Martin Luther King wasn't far off base when he said longevity has its place. I've been doing it a long time. I've been kicked out of doors of major record companies for a long time. I didn't know how to not get up. I had to get up and continue doing what I felt in my heart. That's what I needed. That's what I wanted. I would encourage everybody in this state of the music industry to, take a direction. Take a direction, follow your heart, do the things you love doing. I don't think your heart's going to lead you down the wrong path. You won't be sorry.